Well, how's it going, folks? Josh Calhoun here again. And as you can see, we're not in the outdoor turtle enclosure anymore. We're actually downstairs in a non-heated basement. And the reason for that is we are going to be putting the box turtles into hibernation today. Now, for those who don't know, box turtles will go into a state of torpor, or as most of you call it, hibernation. We reptile people refer to it as a brumation because they're actually still a little bit active when they go down during the colder months. As of me taking this video, it is Black Friday of 2023. I'll let you people who are watching this in the future decide or look up what date that actually is. But long story short, it is getting pretty cold outside. It's a bit colder than I care for to keep the box turtles out there. It's not going to improve anytime soon. So I'm going to rig this enclosure up down here so that way they can actually take a chill pill for the season. So to start with, we have a 30-gallon aquarium right here. I'm not a really big fan of keeping box turtles in a glass fish tank, just for the record, but this is one of those rare exceptions. It's worked for me for the past, how long have we had crackers? Since 2004, if I remember right, so almost 20 years. Inside this enclosure, we have a mixture of just plain Jane organic potting soil, nothing too exciting there. Apparently some perlite snuck in here that I don't know about, probably from the potting soil. And then, I believe last year, I threw in a little bit of eco-earth in this enclosure as well, just for moisture retention. And for those who don't know what eco-earth is, that's just a fancy word or brand of ground up coconut fiber. It's really good for holding moisture, and I think it also has antifungal properties to it. Don't quote me on that. But, as of right now, since I've been neglecting this for the past 7 months or so, this stuff is stupid dry. It's actually way too dry, especially for hibernating box turtles. So I'm going to show you guys how I personally do this, and we're just going to have a fun old time doing it. So, to start with, since I've been neglecting this, it's kind of packed down. I'm going to take this all up. It is going to be a little bit dusty, so if you got a mask, now would be a good time to put it on. I forgot mine, so I'll just be sneezing black snot for a little bit. That's a big wad of dirt. And try to keep it in the fish tank, by the way. Oh yeah, you know what? And if you're a married person like me, you may want to put that in your back pocket real quick, just so that way it doesn't get all dirty and nasty, or in my case, scuffed up. I've only been married 6 months now, and that ring does not look brand new anymore. Hopefully Lisa doesn't hear that part. So I like to break this stuff up so that way it's easier to mix the water in. Otherwise it just bounces off like water off a duck's back. And you're going to get some of these dirt clots in here as well. And when you add the water to it, the way I like to do it is when you squeeze the soil or whatever else you decide to use, it should in theory be moist enough that it's going to make a little compact little snowball in your hands when you squeeze this, but it's also not going to drip water all over the place as well. But as you can see, when I squeeze it and let go of it, it turns into nothing. So this dirt is way too dry. Break up some of these pieces right here. Alright, we should be ready to rumble. I've got a 5-gallon bucket of water over here, so give me just a hot second. Now you see me? No, you don't. And repeat. This also cuts back the dust quite a bit as well. Now, on the flip side, since I got a little wet spot here, if you add too much water when you squeeze this thing, notice all that water that ran out? This is too wet. You want to add more dirt. Makes a perfect little ball, though. Drops up nice and well. Now, if you're going to hibernate your turtles indoors, what I personally would recommend is you do it in a spot that is non-heated. So in my case, my basement is not really heated. It's about, I think it was about 60 degrees down here, which really isn't all that cold in the slightest if you know anything about the terrapene genus. But we're also going to get to that point where it's just going to get stupid cold, because that's southwestern Ohio for you. And so at that point, they'll probably start digging into this at that point. Thought I loosened it all the way over here, but apparently I did not. Alright. Very important that you break all that up, because you really don't want your turtles like trying to dig into a dry spot. Or a dusty spot for that matter. I'm not sure if the camera's picking up on it or not, but it's dusty. Alrighty, bring this back over here real quick. Now, I'm not sure if you've seen my previous videos or not, but for those who are new, the reason I don't hibernate my box turtles outdoors is I just don't feel like I've rigged it up for ultimate success on their part. I feel like they're just going to get too cold out there and turn little turtle icicles. I like popsicles, but I don't like them turtle flavored, you know? And I have heard of people who do live in their native range that try hibernating their animals outside, and something went south and the turtles actually didn't make it. You know, that's once they're a blue moon. And in theory, if you rig them up right, the enclosure, I mean, not the turtles, you shouldn't have too much problems. But I personally like to err on the side of caution here. Okay, still a little dusty, but not as dusty. And for those who are wanting to hibernate the box turtles, the one note I will make, and there might be some new data on this that proves me wrong on this, but what you'll want to do is actually fast your turtles for about 2 weeks or so, and the animals will tell you when they want to do that as well. In the case of mine, I actually tried to offer, that's not too bad actually. Like, I squeeze it and it kind of holds together, but not too hatefully well, so we're getting close. Anyway, when I was trying to feed my box turtles not too long ago, I actually gave them super worms, tried to bulk them up some, and they wouldn't take them. I was actually kind of surprised by that. They almost always eat stuff like that, especially this time of the year. But when they're not hungry, they're not hungry. And since it is getting cold, they're getting lethargic. They're not moving around a whole lot. When they were out in the turtle pen, they'd actually just stay in the tunnel and stay hunkered down the whole time, no matter how warm it got. Which is another indicator to me personally that they're ready to come inside. Add a little bit more water to this. And also, guys, you don't have to use a fish tank to do this. You can do this in a Rubbermaid tub. You could probably do it, oh, I don't know, in a homemade box if you wanted to. I think people even put their turtles in the refrigerator sometimes. In fact, when I was getting my permit for these guys, I had one of the Fish and Wildlife people ask me if that's what I do, which I do not, but I have heard people doing that. Particularly if you have other species that really need to get cold in order to breed well, like say Blanding's turtles, or I think North American wood turtles are one of those species as well. The colder you can get them, the better. And actually, I don't believe I could actually breed them where I'm at just because I don't get cold enough. Which is some, because Ohio is very well known for getting chilly weather. Alright, let's field test this real quick. So I want to squeeze this. And this is just what I do personally, by the way, guys. Just because it works for me does not mean it'll work for you. Okay, we're getting there. maybe a little bit more moisture to this. But as you notice, I squeeze, I let go. Notice there's a little bit of a snowball, or a dirt ball, I guess. So still crumbles up just a little bit. Kind of breaks apart. I think I want to add a little bit more water to this. And if anyone's wondering, talk about a shift. For those who are wondering, I'm using relatively warm water. The water that I'm using is about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And for one, that's just to offset the temperature in the rest of the basement here, because this is going to get pretty cool probably before the sun goes down. And it also kind of encourages the turtles to dig into this because it's nice and warm in comparison to just staying on the surface and looking around because they don't know what to climb up to. Alright, so I'm going to keep digging into this. I found a dry spot in here actually. How about that? So let me finish taking care of this, and then I'll show you what I do next. Oh, that took longer than I thought it would. So now that I squeeze, also let me do the other hand actually. That'll make my life a little easier. So see, I squeeze, and it holds its shape perfectly, and it breaks apart nicely with no issues whatsoever. So now that we got that taken care of, I'm going to go ahead and kind of make this level and not make a freaking little mountain over here. These are box turtles, not mountain goats. I don't want them getting out of the tank anyway. Make this relatively level. Since I will be putting 3 turtles in here, I want to make sure that that's good to go, and nobody's got a shallow spot that they're being made to sit in. Alrighty. That's nice. I'll break up any dirt clods that I find in here, including that one. And then what I also like to do, so that way they're just not sinking in here like they're walking through a swamp or anything, is I like to pack it down some. That way it's easier for them to walk on, but they can still very easily dig through this. Swing on over here. I like me with my close-up. Not critical if you get every single corner, but I like to get as much of it as I can. Alrighty, so now they can very easily walk on this, no problem, but it's also still very easy for them to go ahead and just dig on in. Get back here. Alrighty, this thing is ready to rumble. I did put water that's about 100 degrees in here. As of right now, the soil is, oh, that's it, about 76.2. Not sure if you can read that very well. That should be cooler than I thought it would be. But that's still going to be a pretty good temp for them, especially since box turtles are a temperate species. They don't need it stupid hot like Siberian dragon would. So, with that said, let me grab the turtles real quick, and I'll be right back. Hey, did you miss us? So, got all my squiggly little turtles out. Now what we're going to do is set them in, preferably like different spots in here. I'll put sunshine probably right about there. Won't be able to see them all that well. Alrighty. And so at this point, all I'm going to do is turn all these lights out in here, just so that way they can rest and relax in here. And I kind of encourage them a little more to just dig in at this point. Once again, guys, just because this trick works for me doesn't mean it will work for you 100% without any kind of modifications. What I showed you today, there's no batting on, so if you want to have fun with it, go for it. But don't be surprised if you need to do different stuff to it in order to make it work in your favor. For example, if you live out in, say, Florida, you might not even have to do this because you guys only get like week-long cold snaps and then it's back to normal. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. And I'm really jealous of you of that because I don't like this cold weather, not at all. If you guys live out in Arizona, maybe you need to have a thicker layer of substrate in here just to keep that moisture going a little bit longer. Maybe even some different kind of different kinds of organic substances in there to help maintain that moisture some more. If you guys live out in Alaska, you are watching the wrong YouTube video because I do not know how you guys live up there, much less keep reptiles. So, and then once again, I like to fast my animals for about 2 weeks or so. That way I know their digestive system is completely clear of any kind of food or waste or anything like that. Stuff that could potentially rot in their stomach. I will give the disclaimer that could be fake news at this point. But that's just what I like to do personally. So, at this point, I probably won't see these turtles again for a couple months anyway. It'll probably be about late March, maybe early to mid-April, when these guys decide to pop out of the soil. At this point, all I'm going to really do is just check on these guys, see if they've dug down. If they don't dig down, I'll keep an eye on them until they eventually do. Maybe even bring them up if they haven't and give them a quick soaking, give them something to drink, and then just send them straight back down here. And once they do dig down in here, I'll mist the top of this about, I don't know, every week or so. Make sure the top of the soil is nice and wet, and then make sure that the sides along also have some moisture too. That way I can make sure that moisture is going straight down to the animals and they're not drying out during the winter. So yeah, I think that's about all I got for you guys. So if you have any other ideas on how you guys personally hibernate your turtles or brumate, whichever one you prefer to do, they're the same thing, but you get my point. I'm pretty sure last time I checked, there's a comment section down below. That should be active as of right now. If not, I'm terribly sorry. I'm new to this whole YouTube thing, and I'm still learning a couple of tricks on the board. But let me know down below what kind of stuff you do to hibernate your animals, because, you know, I've been keeping these animals for, 26 years? So I've been doing it for a while, but I still learn. I always want to make sure I'm still learning how to take care of these animals correctly and do it to the best of my ability. You know, they didn't ask to be in captivity, so it's my job to make sure their life captivity is about as fulfilling as possible. So, I'm Josh Calhoun. This is Numbers, Crackers, and then let me see if I can bend you down just a little bit. Yeah, so Sunshine is way down over here. You can probably see him in the corner. And that's all we got for you. Don't forget, Jesus loves you and your scaly things. Take care, guys.